Hello, hello, and welcome back to Purposeful Woman podcast. In today's episode, we have Kai Productions CEO and founder Franciska Kosman. She is a Jewish Orthodox entrepreneur who started her career as a singer and composer and become an international artist and performer. She then moved on to a Launch K production, which offers a unique combination of services from content to producing marketing and most importantly ways to make an impact with the message worth sharing. Hi and welcome, Franciska.
Thank you so much, Victoria, for having me. Such an honor.
Absolutely. Well, tell us more about yourself. I know you have such a wild range of different careers. I know you're a podcaster too, so would love to hear more about how did you get started on it.
Yeah, we actually have something in common. We both grew up in the former Soviet Union and we speak Russian. And my parents moved to Russia and Moscow specifically in 1989 to do outreach, Jewish outreach work. My father's a rabbi. My mother founded the school we went to. They were all about spreading religion in Judaism, to be specific, after communism. Well, communism was just about falling apart. And obviously, there was no freedom of religion during communism. So there was definitely a void and a lack and a big interest in fulfilling that void. So I grew up in a small community that my parents built, and the arts is a very, very strong area for any Russian family and any educational system. So everyone's thrown into something right away. And my mother took full advantage of it coming from the States. And I'm one out of 7 kids. We all had something artistic we were doing on the side. So I went to music school and we had a school choir. So I started writing music also at a very young age. Classical music was a big part of my life. And as I grew older, I started writing my own music and producing it. And it became a very lonely world. And I'll tell you why. Because for Jewish Orthodox or Jewish women in general, there's a restriction on our voices being heard by Jewish men, which makes it a non-market for your music to be spread and heard. And I was struggling a lot after putting in so much money into my music production, into my music videos. I was finding that there was very little opportunity to be heard, seen, invited to perform. And I was at a very low place in my life after spending so much time and money. And someone suggested starting a podcast as a form of building an audience, spreading awareness. I used that platform to really do research and find out what other women in the space of arts and entertainment are doing. How are they paying their bills? How are they investing into their art form? So it's been a journey of 3 years now. I've interviewed over 115 people, artists, some men, bigger celebrities, smaller celebrities, and some non-celebrities at all, but true artists. And it's just been such a pleasure. It's been beautiful to build an audience and a market around what I'm doing, especially when it really hasn't been around. And now I really help other entrepreneurs and leaders build an audience around what they do, because what we do today is so customized and we're creating new industries every day, and there's no blueprint for like this is how you do it, or you go to college or university and now you can create something new and have a market for it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's I so can relate when you're saying, it's creating something new, creating a niche. Like this is innovators. This is the people who want to bring something original to the world, and you're one of them. I'm curious to know, so podcast started to be your driver for marketing. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, it was definitely a part in building the audience for myself as a musician and singer.
Oh, that's beautiful. And so, what do you do now as a main business? Is it a CAD production or a podcast? It's a part of a CAD production.
So I'll answer the question a bit more simply. How do I make money? I make money by offering podcasting services to leaders and entrepreneurs. The way I advertise my services or connect with my ideal clients is through podcasting and social media. How I prove to my clients that what I do works is through my music and my music videos. Does that make sense?
So awesome. That is so awesome. That makes so much more sense. I would love to hear. Okay, so you interview over 100 guests. So what is the number one mistake that people make when they're trying to get on the podcast?
You mean potential guests? What can they say to just drive me crazy?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a great question. Okay, so number one, asking to be on my podcast without ever listening to it. And really being, and that's like an issue a lot with artists or creative people, low time management skills and those kinds of things. So rescheduling or having your interviewees forget about it just because of how their brains work. And sometimes very talented people are very hard to lock down and have them show up at a time that you set with them.
That is awesome. You gotta send them to me. You gotta send them to me. I teach energetic time management, but it's not really time management, but it is works, and specifically for artistic people. All right, I love it. So what will be your number one advice for anyone who is starting podcast or wants to promote their services through a podcast?
So it's a great question because there's so many pieces of advice, and I think whatever sticks with you, that's what you should go with. But if I had to summarize it, it would be the word commitment. Whether it's a commitment to a course or to a coach or to a microphone. Some people just can't commit to a microphone. So if you have that word commitment as your theme when starting a podcast, I think it will help you actually complete small goals like producing an episode or publishing an episode, figuring out which hosting platform you want to use, etc.
Oh my God, I know we chatted already before about it. You said that number one mistake people make is they do research. Tell a little bit more about it.
Yeah, and I've definitely done that. I call it the YouTube rabbit hole. You can spend 5 hours just watching video after video on the best podcast microphone that is out there. And the thing is, you'll get a podcast mic now, and 3 months from now there'll be the next one, and you might want that one. So maybe don't spend 3 months researching which mic you want. You can always start, if you have to, with the built-in microphone in your phone or in your computer. They're not bad. Are they professional? Not necessarily, but you don't have to start out with everything being perfect. Give yourself the slack of being a beginner.
Oh my gosh, that is such a ease. If I just wish I've heard that before, because I've spent like about 5 to 6 hours researching about hosting platform, microphone, and all of this. And I haven't bought the microphone. I had this one for a long time, and it's the Blue Yeti, which is the most famous one. And I have the most like problems with this. It's insane. It's picking up everything. I wish I got something simpler and easier to record and just go and record. My last question for you is answer and finish the sentence. Fill up the blank. If you really knew me, you will know that I'm
shy. I'm naturally shy.
I agree with that. Franciska is just super bright and awesome. If you're listening, it's great. Go check out our video. She has this beautiful background with art behind her, and like she's so shy and sweet and awesome. All right, please share with us where we can find your information, where can listeners go and find your awesome art, music, or podcast services.
Thank you. Yeah, so you can go to franciskakosman.com, and we're going to link everything in the show notes, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm on Instagram sharing daily updates and industry news and all that fun stuff on Instagram at Franciska Music.
Thank you. And thank you so much for tuning in for this episode, and I'll see you tomorrow. Tune in to Purposeful Woman Podcast. And if you love this episode and you would love to see more of that, click the subscribe button to Purposeful Woman Podcast And don't forget to text us to stay in tune with the Purposeful community for awesome tricks by texting to number +1 401 399 4105. And we will link descriptions in the episode to all of that we mentioned today. Bye. Turn your one day to day one with a purposeful day.